Okay, bit of a weird video here. I've got to apologise and I've got to explain myself really, and then I want to talk about sort of what's going on with the channel. So it is, yeah, it's a bit. Well, it's me being sorry. It's me explaining myself, and then there's a bit of boohoo, self-indulgent stuff as well. There's no West Ham news here, so I'll just tell you that now. If you've signed up for your 60-second thing, then I do apologise, and I do apologise for that. And I apologise if you know, particularly for people that are regular subscribers and only ever that probably don't even know what the hell's going on and what I'm about to speak about. You've probably, some of you all just tuned in for your daily West Ham stuff. It's not here, and I do apologise, particularly the people that always interact in such a friendly way all the time. I am genuinely sorry. I did not want to do this video, but I feel like I have to because something's happened of my own making, by the way, and the catalyst is just snowballed, and it's got to the point where the last 48 hours have been really horrendous, actually, and it's got to the point where I can't continue as things are. So I'm going to try and try and just explain a few things here. I probably should start the video by just explaining what I think the nub of all of this is. And it is, there's a perception that I'm doing the club's bidding, that I am somehow being a mouthpiece for the club. It's not true, right? It's not true. I just not. I've had it levelled against me on numerous occasions over the last 48 hours that I say what Karen Brady and David Sullivan tell me to say. It's just not true. It's just not. And I hope at the end of this video that the majority of people, I won't convince everybody, I understand that. We'll understand that that's not the case. I think I should probably, before I explain what I did wrong, just explain my opinion on West Ham, and in particular Carl Macaulay and Graham Potter, because this really pertains to them. Basically, I wrote an article which was not, in fact, two. I think there's two articles which have been not well received. So and I definitely I made a really big error on one of them, and I think the other one I'm just guilty of not articulating what I thought particularly well, and writing it really badly. So I think it's sort of come across wrong. One of them I've chosen my words badly, but they're about Graham Potter and about Carl Macaulay. So I want to just talk about those two first of all. I've got nothing against either, by the way. But my worry and my concern is that both were appointed on the cheap. I think West Ham always appoint managers on the cheap. I think West Ham never recognise opportunity. I think we've had opportunity. I think I could go through it. I could solve it. The first time we were in like the knockout rounds of Europa League, I think there was opportunity. I think we've had opportunities to push for Champions League football. I think any time we have an opportunity to do something, we don't. I think the board showed that they lack ambition. That's what I think. I think one of those opportunities was after David Moyes. I think there was an opportunity when West Ham's stock was high. We'd recently won a European trophy. We were still riding high. I think the perception of West Ham was very different to as it is now, and I thought I wanted us to appoint a manager that was best in class. We didn't do it. We went for the cheap option and the available option. That's something I think we do all too often. And I say that a lot, which is why I find it's a difficult one for me. You know, when I get accused of something that I don't believe. I don't. You can accuse me of wanting David Moyes gone at the end. I did, but to suggest that I want David Sullivan and Karen Brady to do well, and I'm feeding information on their behalf. It's not the case. It wasn't long ago. I did a video saying that Karen Brady had mucked up the Banzuzi deal. It was a month ago. I said the club were 20 years behind in the against the other clubs. Bournemouth had just unveiled their beautiful new training complex, £40-50 million training complex. We got porter cabins. I think we're light years behind, and I think we're in the dark ages with this stuff. And I say that stuff openly, and I write it, and I say it on video. So I guess I'm guilty of thinking this stuff's out there, so people are going to know what I think. Only last week I did a video saying I don't believe West Ham are skint. I think we've got cash flow issues, but I don't believe the PSR stuff. And I said, if West Ham really wanted to spend money, we would. Because there are loopholes that other clubs use. Their owners can inject money into the club. I believe our owners have got money. I think they've got lots of it. I just don't think they want to. That's my belief. I believe that we are not spending money, and I believe that is going to be a hindrance, particularly on Carl Macaulay and Graham Potter, who I'm going to get to now, who I think Lopetegui was a cheap option. Gio did a video earlier on. He said, I've been catfished for him. The context is really important there. I didn't want Lopetegui. He wasn't in my top 10. I wanted De Zerbi. You can have a look on the channel. I wanted De Zerbi. I wanted Iraola, or I wanted Marco Silva. Where I got catfished was after Lopetegui had arrived, and I did not want him. After Lopetegui arrived, I got catfished by the introduction video. That's an important detail. I got catfished by the... I don't want... Because I know what people will say, hold on, you wanted Lopetegui. I didn't. I watched that video and thought, well, hold on, maybe he's not as bad as I suspected. It turned out he was. I think we went cheap with him, though. I think he was cheap and he was available, and I think Potter was cheap and he was available. That's what I think of Graham Potter. Carl Macaulay, I think basically we've gone and tried to get 20% of the Brighton model. I think if you're going to go, I just don't. I think if you're going to go and do it, go and get Dan Ashworth as well. I think West Ham have made a mistake not replacing our director of football, Tim Stighton. If you want to get rid of Tim Stighton, fine. I understood. I thought there were good reasons to get rid of Tim Stighton. I thought there were also good reasons to keep him. But if you're going to get rid of a director of football, don't reappoint another director of football. So I think we've gone in a real skeleton staff and a real skeleton crew. And in Macaulay, we have a data analyst who is not a negotiator, and he has been thrust into this position. I don't know if he's going to be any good or not. I don't know. But we're certainly not giving him the tools to do the job. Those are my thoughts. So now you know my thoughts on it. I'm going to explain what I said. The longer it goes on, the more nervous I get about next season. I'm worried we're going to get relegated. That's the truth of the matter. I think West Ham have chosen a really bad time to have a sell-to-buy policy. Really bad time to go cheap. Don't get me wrong, I always think we go cheap on managers. We normally spend money. Now we're not spending money. That's a problem. We were crap last season. Everybody else is going to improve. I'm not sure we will. Graham Potter has shown that he's not that type of manager that can enhance or coach the group he's got. He's going to need his own players. Well, he's going to need his own players. He's going to need a transfer budget. I don't think he's got one. So those are my views. I've said, though, consistently for the past month that I will chill out when West Ham sign a player. On, I think it was Friday, it doesn't matter if it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I wrote an article on Claret and Hugh saying, basically, Carl Macaulay needed to pop his cherry. It was a bad choice of words, all right? And it upset people. But what it wasn't was... by the way, I don't know what David Sullivan and Karen Brady think of Carl Macaulay and Graham Potter. But the accusation was, you're throwing him under the bus on behalf of Sullivan and Brady. I wasn't. I don't know. I suspect, by the way, that Brady and Sullivan, more Brady, but Brady and Sullivan are probably quite pleased with Carl Macaulay and Graham Potter. In fact, the very quote that I heard from the club, this is a month or two ago, when it was suggested that they might get Dan Ashworth in. Why would we? We're a happy ship. I think the club are happy, by the way. But anyway, so the accusation was that I was throwing Carl Macaulay under the bus. I wasn't throwing him under the bus. From my personal point of view, is I would like to see that he can get deals over the line. I suspect, I'm fearing the worst. I'm fearing the worst. We don't have a negotiator, right? The negotiator at the end will be David Sullivan. That worries me. Say what you want about Tim Stighton. He overpaid, but he got the job done. He'd come back with a player on the jet, right? It terrifies me, in fact, the thought of the people going to be running our transfers are basically... Because Graham Potter's never really been involved in transfers before, are two inexperienced people, plus David Sullivan and Karen Brady. That terrifies me. Because have you seen what Brighton are like? Have you seen what Newcastle are like? Have you seen Aston Villa? I just think we're light years behind. And these are my opinions. I think we're incompetent at this stuff. I think we're really bad. So when I get accused of supporting what the board are doing, I don't. I just don't. Anyway. So that was that. I think that was a bad choice of words. But for me, I would chill out. I probably shouldn't have said he needs to pop his cherry, but I was trying to be clever. I was trying to be funny. Clearly, it wasn't funny. It was, you know, he's not done a deal before. Pop his cherry, just as his first deal. That was what it was, right? Okay. So but I apologise. If that sounded, it does sound crass. I get it now. At the time, you know. And I think maybe if that one just been on its own, maybe I wouldn't have got as big a backlash as there was. But shortly afterwards, I wrote a story saying that Carl Macaulay had been meeting with agents of players in preliminary talks, but it was a bit of a joke because he wasn't able to negotiate on salary or price. Salary or transfer fee because he hadn't been given a budget. That wasn't meant, in my mind, that's how it sounded. Clearly, I've not written it well, and I apologise for that. That was meant as a criticism of the board. It's a bit like asking a chef to go in a kitchen and cook a wonderful meal, but not giving him any ingredients. Very much what I was saying is, there's no way Carl Macaulay can succeed. But bearing in mind, I'm not sure he can succeed anyway, because I've not seen any evidence of it. You're not going to give him any money. How can he sign any players? And then it was suggested that I was trying to point out that was the only, that he was fully responsible for transfers. I don't think he is. And if he is, he shouldn't be, but I don't think he is. Here's how I understand it works. And I've said this a number of times, so it's a weird thing for me to be accused of, right? Carl Macaulay will identify the players. He will speak with agents. If it looks like something and a player Graham Potter really wants, Graham Potter will pick up the phone and speak to the player on the phone. If it looks like the deal is getting close, David Sullivan or Karen Brady will go and close the deal. That's how I understand the transfer system will work. I am not trying to absolve David Sullivan from responsibility in this. David Sullivan should be giving his appointed employees the correct budget, and a budget that enables them to succeed. Create an environment. Well, I can't remember the thing. Create an environment where I don't know, where success is inevitable. I think that's the saying. I probably got it wrong. So that's what I wrote. Well, that's what I thought I wrote. That's what I meant. I certainly wasn't instructed by anyone to throw anyone under the bus, and I thought it reflected badly on the club. I didn't think those articles reflected well on the club. I think it's bad that they're not giving us a transfer budget. I think it's terrible, actually. I am very, very worried. My entirety of my point has always been, I will chill out when I see that they're able to do some deals. I'm far from convinced. Far from convinced. I know there's some people going to say, hold on, it's early in the window. And that's not why I'm doing this video. The reason I'm doing this video, to explain myself, is I've been accused by a lot of stuff which has boiled over just to extreme personal abuse. And that's the truth of the matter. It's got to a point where and this is the boohoo stuff, by the way. But I've got to explain it because people are going to be wondering where the videos are. I'll have to take a little step back. Now, hopefully I'll feel better in a couple of days, but at the moment I'm going to have to take a step back from it because I'm just not enjoying doing it anymore. I never intended on doing this as a job. That's the truth of the matter. Lost my job during COVID. We were doing this sort of part-time. Hammer's Chat was paying for my Geo season ticket. We were, you know, if you're getting 2,000-3,000 views on a video, you're doing all right. It's bringing in a few £100. Make no mistake about it. But it's not it's not paying the rent, right? Lost my business during COVID, so we had to make a really quick decision to do this as a job. So many people supported us on here. It was a bad time for me. I was suffering pretty badly with mental health as well. Just got so much support. And it became a job. But I'm quite thin-skinned. I do, as I say, I do suffer with my mental health quite a lot. Sometimes worse than others. Sometimes I'm happy as Larry. Sometimes I'm depths of depression and highly anxious. Get high levels of anxiety, which is what's happened today. Which is why I'm yeah, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing, basically. I've been told not to go to West Ham, been threatened. Not that that's anything new, but the truth of the matter is, as things stand at the moment, I'll never go to West Ham again, because the abuse that I've got and I've had has been horrendous. It started yesterday. Good first half of Father's Day, second half of Father's Day was just horrendous. I was like a zombie for me kids, really, and they wanted to know what was going on, but just getting so many insults, so many lies said about me as well. I just thought, why am I doing this? I spoke to friends, said, I'll just ignore it. You can't when it's your job. You upload a video, you upload an article, it's all there. And people are just saying stuff, and particularly saying stuff that's not true. It's not just stuff that's not true. It's stuff that you don't believe. They're saying stuff on your behalf. You think this. I don't think that. I think the club's a mess. That's what I think. I don't know. So to be accused of being some sort of spokesperson, supporter for the board is, it's not that. That's not the worst bit. It's the personal abuse, and it's the campaigns, and then you try and switch it off, and then somebody will send you a screenshot of it, and there's just no getting past it. So last night, basically, I was up until midnight, actually writing an explanation, which I posted on Claret and Hugh this morning, to just try and explain this is what I think. And I tried to do that. It's not made it any better. It's escalated more. Gio did a video earlier, and yeah, just there's been so much stuff that's come back since then as well, and I just sort of had enough, basically, and not very good. Not very good at all. It all got so much. I never talk about Father's Day. Bad dad today, by the way. I was so busy trying to sort out all this stuff and reply to people and explain myself. Look, I was meant to pick my son at a GCSE, had an exam today. I was late to pick my son up from his exam, and it just all got so much. A really vile letter. I say letter, it wasn't a letter. Not like nobody was writing it with a quill and ink. Really nasty email. I had a really bad email 2 weeks ago, actually, as well. And this might go some way to explaining some of the stuff. It was an email to Hammers Chat, and it was an email addressed to Gio, but it came through to our Hammers Chat email address. So it goes to everybody. And it was addressed to Gio, and it was somebody calling me a vile human being, and then telling Gio to distance himself from me. It said really nasty stuff. A lot of personal insults, a lot of stuff. And then they'd gone through and they had found, I can't remember how many. I mean, it was quite detailed, but it was 15 to 20 examples of links to websites and social media posts where people have been slagging me off. Knees Up Mother Brown, West Ham Online, Twitter, Facebook, and it had become quite overwhelming. It's basically saying, Gio, you need to leave this person. Don't. There's a group of us. There's a WhatsApp group who are basically going. It's all there. It's all there. There's an anti-Gonzo WhatsApp group and all this stuff, right? And then I think the idea was, and that was just before I went away. I went away on holiday, and I had a good think about it on holiday, and thought about the future, thought about my future, thought about the future of the channel, future of Hammers Chat. The truth of the matter is, it's as I say, I'm quite thin-skinned, and I struggle with that sort of stuff, and particularly when there's sort of regular comments online. And the truth of the matter is, if I had another job to go to now, I'd go to it. I quite enjoy doing YouTube and stuff like that, but the West Ham stuff, there's no enjoyment for me there anymore. It's a little bit different. I do stuff on Patreon, and we do the Naked podcast, and we do stuff like that, but I don't enjoy doing videos anymore. It's a job, and I've got to do it to pay the bills. And to be honest with you, if I had a Donkey Sanctuary or I did a rewilding thing, which are two things that I really like, I probably would do a YouTube channel on them. But I think as things stand at the moment, if there was an opportunity to knock this on the head and not do it as a job anymore, I would absolutely take that now. I'd probably still continue to do the Patreon stuff because they're like a family, to be fair, and it's a very, very safe space. I'm not doing that to encourage anyone to sign up to Patreon. I mean, I'd say don't, in fact. That's not... And I would feel guilty about it because there's so many really good people on this channel. And I even yesterday, I missed a day. I missed a day and somebody said, "Oh, yeah, I missed my fix. Where was my video?" And it was a really, really nice message, and I did appreciate it. So thank you very much. But I was on holiday, and when I was on holiday, I was trying to think, what can I do to make it more fun again? Because I don't like sitting. Everything at West Ham's negative at the moment, and I don't like sitting here doing negative videos. I'd much rather be doing one because we've signed someone or things are good. It's quite miserable. It's quite a miserable thing to do. So when I was on holiday, how can I make it holiday? How can I make it more fun? How can I... And that's why I came up with the 60-second thing. I thought, maybe I'll try that. Let's see if that works. And it was just to inject a little bit more fun into it. I mean, it doesn't earn any... Well, I say it doesn't earn any money. I'll be as upfront as I possibly can be. Yesterday's 60-second video will earn £9. All right, £9. I couldn't be more honest with you there. £9. All right. It's not going to make a huge difference, is what I'm saying. But I was there to inject a little bit of fun into proceedings, because I felt like it was all getting a little bit much, a little bit miserable. So, and that was off the back of that email and a couple of other things. And just the last couple of days, it's really, really ramped up, and it's ramped up quite a lot when it's got to levels where it's probably quite unhealthy for me and my mental health at the moment. I understand a bit people saying, well, hold on a second, probably what you write's is not good for Carl Macaulay's mental health or whatever. I would never intend to be personal with anyone. I really wouldn't. Any football comment I would make purely, I would hope, about people's footballing ability, managerial ability. As I say, I hear Graham Potter's a really, really nice man, and I hope he works out. I really do. I hear that Carl Macaulay is an impressive man to meet. So, it's not... I don't want to be hateful on anyone, and I will tell you now, some of the things I've received and some of the things I've had screenshotted, even from other people, by the way, in the West Ham media and stuff like that, it's been horrible today, and I don't really want to work in this space anymore, to be perfectly honest with you. The trouble is I don't really have a choice. So, I think I just wanted to be as honest as I could be. Well, I'm not going to upload for a couple of days at least. I like to think I'll be in a better mood in a couple of days. Maybe, well, that's your mental health. It goes up and down like that. Honestly, it's a funny old thing. I could feel $1 million in a couple of days. That's how it goes, isn't it? Unfortunately. But as it things at the moment, it's really, really hard. I can't seem to get any space away from my mind, and there's like machine guns. So I'm not going to read the comments on this video. Hopefully you'll sort of understand why. I'm gonna bury my phone as much as I can. That's it really. I felt I owed you an explanation, particularly. As I say, there's going to be... I am very aware, and I know I said it at the start, I said it in the middle, and I say it again. I'm very aware it's going to be a... Hold on 2 seconds. Aldi water, eh? £1.79 roll crate. Anyway, there are going to be a number of you who are just looking at this thinking, hold on a second, we don't even know about this, and what you're doing, and we want to watch the videos and all that, and I understand, and I feel. Listen, don't be wrong. I feel bad, but I've got to look after myself. As I say, I was like a zombie on Father's Day yesterday. I was a shit dad today because I missed picking up my son, and it just gets to the point where it's just overwhelming. And the truth of the matter is, I'm not built for this. I'm not built for this. I enjoy doing videos, and sometimes doing the videos seems easy, and as on occasion I can sort of talk quickly and stuff like that. But the actual other stuff, the social media aspect, I can't handle it. I cannot handle I'm just too thin-skinned. I know people that are really thick-skinned, by the way, and I really admire it. I really admire it. Gio had dog's abuse, by the way. How Gio didn't give up in January, I've no idea. No idea. He had worse abuse. Let me just say that. He had worse abuse than me. And he is not going through a good time at the moment, by the way. Not a good time at all. No, it's really not. So yes, I don't know how he managed, but he's got some resilience. To be fair, you know, he's got some real strength to him, which is not something I particularly share, to be honest with you. So yeah, so I'm not going to upload for a little bit. I'm going to try and take myself out the firing line. If you do see me upload, it will be out of necessity. I don't want you to think I'm rude. I'm not engaging in the comments. It's just you know, I just know that there's going to be shit ones there, and you know, in amongst the good ones. I'm sorry that means that I don't end up reading the nice comments and all the rest of it. But yeah, there you go. So thank you to everybody. You know who you are. You absolutely know who you are. Thank you to everybody. Yeah, sorry if it came across that I was trying to undermine West Ham's management. I wasn't. Nothing could be further from the truth. I hope they do well. I hope they do well. It's very much the structure of the club at the top that worries me. In many respects, I sometimes think it's only the academy that are doing really well. I worry about upper level management, lower level management, and the academy have done great. I'm sure there's great people working at the club as well. But yeah, it's not. Yeah, I certainly don't. Yeah, so just hopefully I've made that clear. I think I am in no way am I supporting Karen Brady and David Sullivan's transfer window stance. I don't know if they're undermining Potter or Macaulay or not. I certainly haven't been instructed to do it. As I say, I suspect that's their choice. That's my issue. I think they've chosen the wrong people. But I do think club policy now is harmful. I do, and I worry, really worry, that if we go down to the Championship, that we'll really struggle in that stadium. Really struggle, and that's another reason that I think the club have done really bad. It was called Deal of the Century. Maybe back in 2016, it probably looked a good deal to be renting your stadium, but now you look at what other clubs are doing. I wasn't even thinking of stadiums. I was talking about other clubs being 20 years ahead. I mean, you can't look at Everton Stadium, be anything other than jealous, and you learn that their naming rights are going to give them an extra £40 million a season. We might have been saving money on low rent at the start. I now think the London Stadium is costing us money. Not that that's the real problem in the Championship. The real problem in the Championship would be a half-empty stadium. It would not be an intimidating venue. In fact, I think Championship clubs look forward to going to the London Stadium. Be like a day out. Yeah, I'm worried. I'm really, really worried about West Ham. That's the truth of the matter. And if West Ham do find themselves, I'll just finish up with this. If West Ham do find themselves in a relegation scrap next season, I would not blame Macaulay or Potter. It would be the fault of West Ham and the board for squandering what was a really good opportunity to appoint the right guy after David Moyes. I suspect there's more going on at the club, by the way. I suspect there's more. I suspect, if as I understand it, Kretinsky appointed Stuyton because he wanted to do a more, have a more modern way of running the club. And then David Sullivan and Karen Brady have sacked Stuyton. Then I don't think that will sit very well with Kretinsky at all. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is another one of the reasons we're not getting more money pumped in. That would not surprise me. I don't know that at all. I suspect there's members of that board who are finding it very, very hard to work with other members of that board. But it's just a suspicion. So that is not me. I'm far from supportive of them. That's really important. But anyway, sorry about the video. There you go. I'm gonna go. Best thing I do is switch off this, upload this, switch off the camera, and I'm sure I will see you in the near future. Thanks for listening.